Trade recap 9th of March, and today was like one of the craziest events I've ever traded, or at least tried to trade. But let's start at the beginning of the session. Today I started pretty late to trade because basically I just didn't like what happened during the ETH. There was like a constant bidding. We had a gap lower, then we're constantly trying to fill it. And I've drawn myself out some balances, as you guys can see here. And basically, I had some expectancies or scenarios drawn out because if they would work out, I try to trade them. And basically, what we had was like we were after I think it was after the first hour, we were trying to get above this resistance area around here, and they were constantly failing, and then I was just basically waiting for them to either get above. We have like a nice acceptance higher, and I can trade like some balance extreme trade or trading the first test, or we just fail and I will look for some shorts. And then what happened then? We basically had since the beginning a constant bidding. There wasn't any, sorry guys, there wasn't like any selling showing up. It was just pure buying. And if you wouldn't have been on the trade since the lows, you would have just basically missed it. I think I was watching for a, no, it wasn't this one. Yeah, that was the beginning. We were constantly grinding higher. There was like a mistake. I just tried something. And I think I was watching for a possible long from down here. Why? Because we expanded to the other side. I think it was somewhere around the balance extreme 6, 7, 15. Yeah, somewhere around the extreme. And if we came down once more into this low volume area here, I wanted to see buyers holding the area out and continuing higher. Basically, I didn't trade it. I don't know like really why. At a certain point I just didn't like what the CVD was doing. On the other hand, it was also like very clear to see that passive buying is pretty strong and selling just didn't got anywhere and just got all absorbed. And it was just a matter of time until, oh, not a matter of time, but let's say it was just logically, if you buyers finally start to show up, that we continue the movement. And they basically did with this move here, with this big candle. As we've got this candle, I was waiting for some longs from down there, 6 point stop in those highly volatile movements. And yeah, didn't happen. Instead, they just constantly got higher and higher. Sorry. Yeah, they were expanding higher and higher. And after we got into this new start of the balance, I think it was 6742, yeah, somewhere around here. At let's say they were like trying to get into this new balance, except higher, but failed. It was this 1 hour candle here, and we got lower, and I was watching definitely for a possible long. And yeah, I was just constant selling, all of a sudden shaping up, and I was just too early. I have to be honest, it was just too early. I wasn't like really considering the order flow, but I was waiting the whole day for it to shape up, and it basically did, but there weren't like any buyers showing up, and I was always waiting for some more aggressive buying starting to come in, but it hasn't it hasn't been the time for that, and instead I just got stopped on this one, and then from down there I just fucking hair ripped it. And there were then, in addition to that, there were also some news, Trump announcing that the war is finally over and that he has just taken control of Iran and some other kind of stuff. And yeah, from down there, pure buying, bidding. And I won't trade those kind of moves. They were like pretty crazy. But basically, maybe in the future I will try to do some marketing in and maybe doing some position buy building to like get some money out from it. And basically up there, why did I try several times to go long from down there? Because like this 6-8-13 area, we had a pretty aggressive bid from down there, and I was thinking that they try to expand higher into this bigger balance up here. They didn't, and came down once more into this low, and I wanted to go long from down there. I was thinking that they might maybe try to hold out this area, and they did to a certain degree. They tried several times to like regain those previous losses, and I was like really patiently waiting. And I also exited the first trade. Why? Because like the CVD, as you guys can see, it was like pretty crazy, just pure sell-off. And if price would have finally followed through, which meant that passive buying would have been weakened, then I would have definitely got stopped out. And so I was like, I think I manually exited after 5 ticks, after my entry. And I re-entered as I saw more buying starting to come in. This kind of area here was pretty crazy. I think if I could have taken like somewhere like 13 points, I would have been up on the day by $50, but I just didn't because I wanted to get like those big runners. Maybe in hindsight, it wasn't like one of the best things to aim for the big ones and not taking some partials at 13.5 points, which is like my regular. If I would have traded my regular size, it would have been like almost a 3R, which is like quite good. But for those kind of environments, I just wanted to get more out of the market. That was my expectancy. Yeah, didn't got filled, and I put my stop loss to break even. Then it was a good idea in my opinion, because if they would have gotten lower once more, I wasn't like really expecting them to get higher. But basically, what was like really interesting today were those was this area here, where you could have definitely see how big market participants, they repositioned their inventory. It was pretty crazy to see. As you guys can see, 430, 255, 230, 294. Those candle had like 2.5k positive delta. And if you also see so many buying starting to come in and don't getting anywhere, that's also another confluence for you to be like pretty careful, because price can likely revert and go against you. Why? Because like passive selling was also pretty aggressive. The order book was at those exact time, it was pretty full. Well, like it was like crazily stuffed. Like right now there's like hardly any volume anymore, but back then it was like pretty crazy. But all in all, interesting day. Have only taken 1 hour, 1.2 hour down on the day. Still positive expectancy for the whole week, especially after Trump announcing that the war is finally over. So maybe we are starting to see more rallies, maybe even new all-time highs from here. But let's see what the future will bring us.